You know, there has been talk surrounding the Batman for a couple of years now, not just for the movie itself, but it was almost 2 years ago that they announced that this upcoming Batman movie with Robert Pattinson was also going to be having a sort of prequel HBO Max series based on the Gotham Police Department called Gotham PD. And our understanding of Gotham PD was that it was about a dirty cop who's like battling for his soul and he's trying to find his way back. And he becomes inspired and reawakened by the activities of a new vigilante in town known as the Batman. And the show is going to focus on this dirty cop trying to go clean, all this kind of stuff, whatever. Now, in recent days, there's been talk that there are 2 Batman spin-off series coming to HBO Max. One is Penguin, starring Colin Farrell, which now I am dying for. Like, I was interested in it before seeing the Batman. After watching him in the Batman, I'm like, officially dying for this movie. Cannot wait. But then the other one they started talking about was one centered around Arkham Asylum, to which a lot of people wrote in and said, well, wait a minute. What happened to Gotham PD? Well, now we know what happened to Gotham PD. Matt Reeves has confirmed that they are no longer moving forward with the Gotham PD series. This comes to us from the folks over at Deadline who write the following. The Batman, let me see if I can get this a little larger for you guys. The Batman director, Matt Reeves, has duly confirmed that the movie prequel series on HBO Max, which centered on a corrupt cop, is not moving forward. Reeves already indicated on that's Deadline's Hero Nation podcast, that he had conversation with HBO Max execs to steer his Batman spin-off series towards one of the more established characters in the DC canon versus an original one. Reeves' initial HBO Max The Batman series was announced in July of 2020, taking inspirations from the movie Prince of the City, centering on a cop who is battling for his soul. He is then reawakened by a rising Gotham vigilante, that being the Batman, so on and so forth. So now instead, they kind of, it looks like, steered the whole thing away from that concept into something that's going to be centered around Arkham Asylum. No spoilers, but in the Batman movie, Arkham Asylum has a presence. I mean, woo! Big newsflash there. Arkham Asylum has a presence, so it's going to be going that way. Look, I'll tell you what. We never really got any development of this Gotham PD show, so I don't have anything emotionally invested in it, but I will say the concept of it sounded interesting to me, but I don't want 3 spin-off shows of the Batman going. Let's get the Penguin out. Let's get this Arkham Asylum thing out. Rob, you hear about this? What do you think about the fact that they're dropping this Gotham PD one and they seem to be moving towards this other one?
Well, I think, look, that's an interesting take. I mean, doing a story about a bent cop who is inspired by the Batman to do good, I think could be an interesting story to tell, but is that a show? And I think that what happens with a lot of programs when they're developing them is through the development process, they realize they just don't have enough story to turn into a series. And ideas sound good when you first pitch them, but in practice, it's a lot harder to come up with a compelling story, especially on an HBO Max. As we've always talked about, I mean, when they're doing something, they do a cop show, it's True Detective. You know, in the first season, that show was a knockout. And unless they can do that, I don't think they're going to move forward. And now having a movie star in Colin Farrell and being able to do the Penguin and coming off of what we all thought was a very successful portrayal of the character, I think they probably have a better handle on Penguin. So it makes sense. And an Arkham Asylum show just seems more like a natural to me than doing a cop show. You know, I mean, you ask any Batman fan, what would you rather see a show about? Gotham City PD officer or Arkham Asylum? I think we all know the answer.
But I'll tell you what, I like the see, this is why the Fox show Gotham, which ultimately at the end of the day was kind of hit and miss and didn't really work for me. But I was so intrigued by that because when you understand what Gotham is supposed to be, I mean, the idea of a show in Gotham from the police's point of view in trying to deal with that city and trying to do all kinds of stuff in the midst of a Batman running around as well. That concept fascinated me like a lot.
Yeah.
And Gotham didn't really deliver. I was kind of hoping maybe Gotham PD could, but I agree with you. I think I'm a little bit more taken with the idea about what you could possibly, because we talked about that anthology idea with Arkham. That could be interesting as well.
Well, they did say Prince of the City, which is a phenomenal. If you haven't seen Prince of the City, it stars Treat Williams. It's an amazing movie. And that, as a reference point, is a really great idea. But I think when you're doing it in Gotham, everybody steers back to you have to have the villains, the cops, and then you're stuck. You're locked into and then everybody wants to see the villains that you already know, and how are you going to bring them all in? And they did. Gotham ran into that same issue.
It's just, it feels like it'd be a redundant show because you'd be going off to do something else. Your focus would have to go back to those villains. Or it would feel like, hey, let's try to do Gotham, but better this time maybe. Or let's try to examine the inner workings of the Crows like Batwoman has tried to do, but not done particularly successfully. The Rogues Gallery of Batman is what's always the more interesting because the best Batman stories are where Batman's the antagonist. That's where Batman really shines, when he is getting in the way of somebody else's journey and plans. That's when things get really, really great.
I still
like that.
There's one part of me though. You know where Gotham? Again, when I say Gotham, I'm talking about the Fox TV show.
Yeah.
Where Gotham fell apart for me. Let me back that up. When Gotham worked for me was when it wasn't about Batman. Like Gotham as a show worked for me when it was about this whatever Lieutenant Gordon or whatever rank he was trying to fight the criminal element in the city and blah blah. When it was that and going against the mob, that's when that show for me was firing on all cylinders. When that show started to feel weak to me was when they made it Batman Jr.
Exactly.
It's a Batman when they made it a Batman show without Batman. It's like, oh look, guys, here's everybody you know from Batman, but there's no Batman. Well, people are wanting the Batman. Well, let's get the little kid put on a mask and start jumping around buildings. That's when it fell apart. And the one thing for me that I would be worried about an Arkham series, just a little concern, is that instead of being its own show with its own life, it just becomes a Batman show.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, but maybe they'll have a great idea for it and they'll make it sing.
Hopefully.
Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? They have now, it's official, Matt Reeves has announced that yes, we have steered away from what we were going to do with Gotham PD, and now we are doing Arkham, and there's a lot of very cool possibilities you could do with Arkham. Do you like that? Do you not? Do you think maybe it'll resurface at some point? Whatever you guys are thinking, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a minute and thank a sponsor of today's video, Vuori. Now, you know, Ann and I like to work out and train several days a week, but the thing is I want to be comfortable and not look like a slob at the same time, and I often have a hard time finding something that does both. But Vuori, everything is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it's made to be worked out in. It is so comfortable, you will want to wear this stuff all the time. Now, you guys know I like some flexibility and versatility in the clothes that I wear, but that's where Vuori comes in. See, it can be used for just about any activity like running, training, swimming, yoga, but it's also great just for lounging around or going out on the weekends in. For example, take the men's core shorts. These are the most comfortable and one of the best looking pairs of shorts that you can own, and they're versatile. One pair of shorts for just about every sport that you can play. Or take the men's Sunday performance jogger. These pants are perfect for lounging around in or going out for a good run. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. For our viewers, they are offering 20% off your very first purchase. Get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at vuori.com/Campea. That's VUORI.com/Campea. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to vuori.com/Campea and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing.